Okay, now we're going to look at basically doing the same thing, just in reverse order, because this time the angle that we're going to be given is going to start out in radians. So we'll draw in standard position, but of course this time we're starting in radians, so for B part we'll convert to degrees, and then you're also asked to name the reference angle in degrees and in radians, both. Now what I would suggest that you do is actually do B part first, because you're a lot more accustomed to drawing angles in standard position when they're in degrees. You know, you're more familiar with those locations on your coordinate plane when it's in degrees. So let's just skip to B part here, and let's take 2 pi over 3. Now if you're going from radians to degrees, then you're going to multiply by 180 over pi. So what you're going to see happen here is that your pi's are going to cancel out. Now just use your calculator. Of course, when you're multiplying, you just multiply across the top, multiply across the bottom, and then do your division. So just go ahead and do the 2 times the 180, and then you're going to take that result and divide it by 3. So you're going to end up with 120 degrees. Okay, so now what I would do is go back to A part and now draw this in standard position, since you're more familiar with the 120 degrees. So 120 degrees will actually be in the second quadrant, so we'll give ourselves a little bit more room there. Okay, so as you rotate in the positive direction through the first quadrant, of course that's 90 degrees, so then you'll need to go 30 degrees more, so your terminal side will fall somewhere within this area. So of course this quadrant here was 90 degrees, this little section here was 30 degrees, of course, which means this larger section here would be the 60 degrees. Okay, so then C part is to name your reference angle. Now again, reference angle is the acute angle that is between the terminal side and the x-axis. So the terminal side and the x-axis would give you this portion here. This is going to be the part that's your reference angle. So I already labeled that a while ago when we were doing the other calculations. This section is 60 degrees. Now 60 degrees is one of those angles that's listed on that list that I said just make yourself memorize and be very familiar with those. 60 degrees would be the same as pi over 3. Now just pointing out something here again that can make things move a little bit quicker for you later on. If you notice your reference angle being pi over 3, look at what you have right here. If you notice, it has the pi over 3 in the angle itself, okay? And that's something that you'll see with the 30 degrees, the 45, and the 60, okay? Now, one other thing I want to point out here, of course, in converting it over, we just went back to the definition, you know, the note that I had given you earlier about multiplying by 180 over pi. But something else that you can do to come up with 120 very quickly is the fact that you have pi over 3 in this angle. And again, this is one of those I said you just need to memorize. So pi over 3 we know is 60 degrees. And then you've got this 2 here. So if you'll do 2 times 60, 2 times 60 gives you that 120. So that's actually a quick and easy way that you can do that. Of course, that's only going to work when you've got the pi over 3, pi over 4, pi over 6. You know, the 30, the 45, and the 60. That'll be the times that you'll want to use this, okay? If it's not one of those, then you'll just need to go back for sure like we did B part to begin with. Okay, let's look at another one. So this time we have a negative angle. And just like a while ago, I would suggest that you actually start by converting. So I'm going to go to B part. And with B part, you would take negative 9 pi over 4. And you're going to multiply it by 180 over pi. So your pi's are going to cancel. So now just do the 9 times the 180 and then divide that by 4 and you get 405. Of course, that being negative, your degree measurement would still be negative as well, negative 405 degrees. Just like a while ago, pi over 4 is 45, so if you do negative 9 times 45, you're going to get the same result. Okay, so now for A part, first of all, you need to figure out, or you can go ahead and kind of figure out what quadrant. This is actually going to end up, I believe it's in the 4th quadrant that we're actually going to end up with here. All right, so I'm going to start with the positive end of the x-axis, but now I have to rotate in the negative direction. So I'm going to have to rotate all the way around, which is 360. Now, if you do 405 minus your 360, then that leaves you with 45. So you've got to come into the 4th quadrant here, another 45 degrees. So this section's 45. So, of course, this section's 45. All right, so now you're ready for C part, which is your reference angle. So reference angle, of course, these are both 45s, but this is the section that has to be your reference angle, the part that connects to your x-axis. So this is 45 degrees. And, of course, from your list, we know that 45 degrees is pi over 4.